I accepted this speaking engagement before our infrastructure success on Saturday. I'd like to thank everybody here, including the media, for covering the event before, so everyone had knowledge to opportunity to go vote. I think a lot of times we vote 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 times a year, and we get busy in our lives, and I think it might be better to do maybe 1 or 2 votes the most per year. In February of last year, in front of the Baton Rouge Business Report annual breakfast, which is about 1,000 people, I said we're going to try to do 3 things. I was going to try to do 3 things in Baton Rouge this year. First thing, most important thing, we're going to try to reduce the homicide rate. So myself and Mike Wampole work with me, contribute the necessary income. Other people followed. And I'm proud to announce today that in the 6 months, February, we started about 6 months for the last part of the year. Truce has been a major success. In 2017, from June to this point in December, we had 66 homicides. Today, we have 37, while still too many, almost in half. So the law enforcement, Sid Gotro, police chief, Killer Moore, I mean, when you see them, tell them thank you, because it's a big deal. It's a big deal. So we achieved goal 1. Goal 2, we said we're going to give the people the opportunity to say if they wanted to raise their taxes for improved roads. But we're going to do it right. We weren't going to have a slush fund that some political body could spend on whatever they deem necessary, new road to the duck camp or deer camp or whatever. No, that's not on the agenda. So actually the money that's being spent has to go to the roads, the 69 roads, I believe, that were on the website. So there is no choice. It's against the law to do something else. And I assure you there'll be a group that monitors, that makes sure everybody does the right thing. It's like Reagan said, we'll trust, but we're going to verify they do, right? So that was a big deal. So everybody got to choose, not some politician elected 5 years ago, whether they were going to get their taxes raised for, and I think that's the way things should be done. If I pay this, I want to get X. So number 2, we were successful on. By the way, those were 2 things everybody said was impossible when I walked out of the room. Laughed. Well, the possible just takes a little longer. Third thing I said, we're going to align LSU to be a great university so we can be a great city. I asked 4 people today, all LSU people, what does LSU want to be great at? Guess what they said? Football. Wow. Congratulations, y'all been paying attention. But we need to be great at other things besides football. Every great city has a great university. And not that we can be that university too, and that's our next goal to achieve. We talk about infrastructure, and I said I'd comment a little bit today on infrastructure, and people were amazed and shocked that our company committed to fund the bridge. So we decided to give it a name today. We're going to call it the Capitol Bridge instead of the bridge. We can't call it the new bridge. We already got one that's 51 years old that took that name, okay? So we're going to call it the Capitol Bridge. We're going to call it the Capitol Expressway. Capitol Expressway is going to run from I-10, it's going to loop all the way down to I-12. And we're going to have traffic moving that moves through Baton Rouge. It's going to move on the outside. Local traffic is going to end up going down the existing structures now. And we're going to look for the 5 parishes to contribute, and I believe that Baton Rouge has led the way, that these parishes are going to say, hey, we can do this as well. They just did it. We don't want to be left behind. We want to be part of it, and that's important. I think this year in the legislature on infrastructure, we'd like for them to vote. People in East Baton Rouge Parish voted 61% to say we're willing to pay a little bit more to have good roads. We would like the legislature this year to simply vote Give the people the right to vote to increase the taxes for a series of new roads. A bridge in Lake Charles, a loop around Lafayette. Give the citizens of Louisiana a chance to say yeah or no. And you know what you're going to hear this year? Well, Jim, we can't do anything this year. It's an election year. Well, I think we ought to say, well, we can't do anything this year. We're not paying any taxes. It's an election year. No, you got to go do your job. Okay? And that means go to work in the legislature every year. Now, I believe very strongly in letting the people decide rather than the legislature decide. Never more disappointed last year when the gasoline tax, we didn't even get a vote because they deemed there not enough people were for it, so they didn't want the legislature representative to take a hard vote. I'm not going to comment on what I think about that. So look, now that we've had some success at allowing the people to lead their way, allowing people to make decisions of how they want their community, and not just about the infrastructure, more overwhelming, and said, hey, we want a place for people who have mental disabilities rather than in prison. 68% of the people said, yeah, we want to be that community. We want to be the community that cares for the less fortunate that can't help themselves. I mean, that was amazing. So Baton Rouge has chosen to lead the way in the state, to be the city we want to be. Now we want to have the state move forward and be the state we want to be. Thank you, and I'm happy to ask any questions you may have.
Jim, can you describe what you're talking about with the bridge, either your firm helping or you're helping the underwriter? Can you just walk me through what you have in mind to try to make a bridge reality in that?
Well, obviously, the question is, what did Bernhard Capital Partners have in mind in financing or structuring the agreement for a bridge, the Capital Bridge, to be built in Louisiana? Obviously, it's going to be a toll bridge. We've done preliminary numbers on the toll bridge. It looks like it's acceptable for the return on investment to pay off the debt over a period of 30 to 40 years. We stepped up to the plate and said we would do it. There's other companies will do it as well, and we welcome them, okay? But by us stepping up to the plate today, you should have huge confidence that if you pass a tax is the major obstacle in the other 5 parishes, because you have to have roads to and from it. We don't need another Sunshine Bridge, do we? No, we need to have roads to and from it, and that's where the parishes or the state needs to step up for the necessary infrastructure for the expressway that we'll have, the Capital Expressway that'll leave from 10 loop around to 12. So that's the real issue. The real issue is not financing the Capital Bridge. The real issue is financing the infrastructure to get to and from the bridge.
So is your plan dependent on the legislature giving voters a chance to raise taxes, and going along with that would be your company's role in the new bridge?
The legislature has already, the question was, are we relying on the legislature to give the people the choice to have this done? No, absolutely. The legislature has passed almost unanimously, given the 5 parishes the authority to raise taxes, to have the ability to raise taxes, and to do the infrastructure as well as the bridge. So there's no action necessary for that to occur, except for the people who want that to occur to say yes at an election. Yes.
Secretary Wilson doesn't sound so sure about this. How do you convince him or get him on board?
Well, my office is right down here. I'm readily available. My phone is in the phone book, and I think if Sean would come by, he would agree with me. I hear what you said. I guess you just read that in the newspaper. He's never called me, never talked to me about this particular issue, but it's something that can be financed. What I do for a living is finance infrastructure and invest in companies. I assure you, it can be done.
And why now? Why is now time for you to do this? It's been an issue for so long.
Well, you know, one of the facts is my office is on the 10th floor at City Plaza 2, and at 3:30 in the afternoon, the bridge stops almost every day. I have to drive back and forth to Highland. Enough's enough. We need to move forward, and if I don't try to help, I can't ask you to help, which I will. So we need to move forward. It's not going to get any better. It's not going to get better in the next 5 years. Somebody said that day to me, well, the infrastructure is not going to be better for 5 or 6 years. I said, if we wait 5 or 6 years, it'll be 10 to 12. So let's move on. Everybody knows we're going to build a new Capitol Bridge. Everyone here knows that. So let's move on with it. Let's get it done. It's less expensive if we do it today. $400 million was the St. Francisville Bridge. The Audubon Bridge, the one that Audubon built in Baton Rouge, $400 million. If we'd have built that one at the same time, it wouldn't be $800 million. So if we wait another 5 years, it'll be $1.2 billion. Let's move on and get the bridge built for our children, one that you know is going to be built anyway. There's no one saying, oh, we don't need the bridge. Stand up and tell me where you drive across the river at. Huh? Someone suggested to me the other day we need more ferries. That's how, well, I think we'll veto that. Yes, sir.
I started asking you about the drawings and the charts for this bridge. How long will it take you, or how long will it take whoever is gonna put it together to come back and tell us about it?
If you started today and say, I wanted to do this project, in 7 years, you would be complete. Now everyone's going to say, oh, it can't be done in 7 days. Well, let me tell you what can't be done. You can't start with $50,000 and develop a company that's 30,000 employees and make it a Fortune 500 company in Louisiana. You can't start and develop the largest private equity company, invested over $2 billion in the last 6 years in Louisiana. So when people tell me you can't, I said, things are done with you can. And I assure you, the success I've had, this is not a difficult objective. It's not. The difficult part is allowing the people to vote. Please allow the people to move forward with something we all know is going to happen.
So are you saying we should get behind the 5 parish coalition authority and they could put the tax on the ballot? They don't even have to go through the legislature, right?
That's
But
correct.
What about the gas tax?
Well, let me speak to 2 things. Okay, one, the 5 parishes have the authority to go out and have an election to have a tax of their choice for the infrastructure. And I think they'll be greatly encouraged by the tremendous success the leadership of Baton Rouge has shown by the people voting for it. As far as for the legislature, you know, we're actually fixing state roads here with our tax because we can't wait on the legislature and the state. We need the state to move forward with some kind of tax, some kind of revenue enhancement to build other roads throughout the state. Just, if it's too difficult of a vote for the legislatures, it shouldn't be a difficult vote to allow the people to go to the polls and say yes or no. The greatest democracy is having people vote yes or no. That should be an easy decision for anyone to make.
Your company put together a real nice advertising campaign for the traffic congestion sales tax. Are you guys going to do something similar to that, would you say, or even more?
The question was, we put together an advertising campaign to promote the revenue enhancement for the infrastructure, and it wasn't my company or company. It was a great group of individuals who formed a PAC. Mike Wampole and Roberts and a lot of other people contributed money from all over the city parish. It was really a group undertaking. It was not my company. It really was the citizens of Baton Rouge, and small donations, big donations, and it was really a parish-wide effort of the people, not me. Yes, sir.
Could you elaborate a little on what you mean by align LSU with Baton Rouge?
Well, you know, I think would I elaborate a little bit on LSU be in line with Baton Rouge, okay? Baton Rouge will grow their business when it feeds off LSU's expertise. For example, if LSU was going to be the energy university in America, then energy companies would locate here seeking the graduates, seeking the professors' involvement. We need to have a few things that we're true, in my opinion, that we're truly the best at. If we're on that road, we at least need to commit to communicating better, because I don't know about them and neither do you. And that's the issue for sure. We need a better communications plan. But Baton Rouge will generate when the university generates back and forth on energy, just like Austin, Texas, and the University of Texas, one of the premier companies in America is there, right? And that's how Austin grew. That's where now all of a sudden all the computer techs and everything's there because of Austin, because it all started there at the university. And Michael Dell left and started computers, and now you have a whole city. 26 years ago, it was the exact same size of Baton Rouge. So we can. We showed you Saturday we can. So going forward, don't let someone step to you again and say, we can't do anything. We can.
Sir?
Yes, sir.
Perhaps I could change subjects. On troops, could you give us a little drill down a bit on, is it the same as the old Brave initiative, or is it similar, and what are the differences, if you think?
The initiative on truce is it the same as the old Brave initiative? I don't know all the details, but I know it's similar, okay? And I know it's working, okay? We had 2 months in a row with a total of only 3 homicides. Well, still too many. Until we get to 0, that'll be the right number. Someone says, what do you expect? I expect 0. I expect everybody to go home, every day. And I remember 25 years ago, someone says, it's impossible not to have anybody hurt at work. That's impossible. Now we did, at our company, Brown and Root, we did 10 million man hours without a single lost time accident. So the impossible just takes a little longer. Okay, any other questions? One more question?
Yeah.
Well,
We'll let the media guy answer. I'm sorry.
If the tolls pay part of the bridge and local voters in 5 parishes agree to tax themselves, where does your company, what is your role? What is it that you're offering you and similar companies?
First, I think the bridge could be financed with debt and equity, and we're prepared to put it both. I think the infrastructure to the bridge, while maybe more important than the bridge, because we have to have traffic to be able to satisfy the tolls to pay the debt. So we're prepared to arrange to put up equity, to put up debt, and collect tolls to pay off the bridge infrastructure. A lot of companies would do that. We just happen to be here and we want to move it forward, so we stepped up to the plate.
So would the parishes be financing the infrastructure around the bridge?
Around the bridge. Would the parish be financing infrastructure? Certainly. The infrastructure they think is necessary and the bridge thinks is necessary to get the traffic to the bridge. And that would be the part of the referendum that they would do to increase, part of the referendum they would do to increase the taxes in those communities. All right, last question here.
We've been talking about the bridge for maybe 20 years. It's confusing to me within the state of Louisiana or the federal government, who has the leadership responsibility for additional transportation across the Mississippi. I don't know who's got it.
Well,
I haven't seen the leadership from any place to make it happen.
well, I will tell you what, if everybody in this room worked 5 hours a week, 10 hours a week, the leadership would come forward. I think one of the important things I'd like to say today on leadership doesn't always come from the top. A lot of times leadership is promoted by the most passionate group that wants things done. I think leadership doesn't have to come from the coach of the football team. Sometimes it can come not even from the best player on the football team. Maybe it's the person who works hardest. So things can happen. People can lead the way. When people demand change, change happens. I always have a rule in my company: people will change, or people will change. And I will tell the legislature, legislatures will change, or legislators will change. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.